Welcome back, everyone. Grab your popcorn because today's story is packed with shocking twists, emotional moments, and secrets that change everything. Let's jump right in. I am still trying to pick my jaw up off the floor after watching the latest episode of General Hospital because something happened that I honestly believed I would never see in my lifetime. If you know anything about the deep, bitter, and downright toxic history of Port Charles, you know that Ava Jerome would rather walk barefoot over a mile of broken glass than give Carly Spencer an inch of credit. Yet, right there on my television screen, the impossible actually happened. Ava Jerome, the ultimate ice queen, the woman who prides herself on always being the smartest and most ruthless person in any given room, completely folded. She looked Nina straight in the eye and admitted that Carly was absolutely, unequivocally right about Jen Sidwell. I am telling you, my heart was pounding out of my chest just watching the words leave her mouth. This is not just a casual admission. This is a monumental shift in the tectonic plates of this show. Let us really break down the sheer magnitude of this confession. For years, Ava and Carly have been locked in a battle for supremacy, constantly trading barbs, threats, and sometimes downright vicious attacks. To see Ava sitting there, stripping away all of her usual bravado and arrogance, was nothing short of breathtaking television. She did not just casually mention that Carly had a point. No, Ava confessed that she knew exactly how dangerous Jen Sidwell was from the very beginning. She knew he was a lethal threat, a walking nightmare, and yet she chose to entangle herself with him anyway. This is the kind of dark, twisted secret that makes me absolutely love this soap opera. The fact that Ava is finally speaking this truth out loud means that the terror she is feeling deep down in her bones is overwhelmingly real and impossible to hide anymore. The atmosphere of that scene between Ava and Nina was dripping with unbearable tension. Picture it, the two of them sitting there, drinks in hand, the dim lighting casting long shadows across Ava's face, perfectly reflecting the dark turmoil inside her mind. Nina is sitting there, listening intently, acting as the sounding board for a woman who is slowly realizing she has painted herself into a very dangerous, potentially deadly corner. Ava dropped the facade of the untouchable mob heiress and the sophisticated art dealer. In that fleeting moment, she was just a terrified, regretful woman who finally understood that she had played with fire and is now covered in severe burns. I could literally feel the anxiety radiating off the screen, and I found myself shouting at my television, "I told you so, Ava. We all told you so." And let us talk about the core of this terrifying confession, the man himself, Jen Sidwell. From the very second this guy stepped foot into Port Charles, I knew he was nothing but pure, unadulterated trouble. He did not just walk into town. He practically arrived carrying a giant flashing neon sign that screamed lethal. He has manipulated everyone in his path. He has thrown around threats like they were candy, and he has left a trail of chaos and destruction wherever he goes. Yet, in classic Ava Jerome fashion, she looked at this incredibly dangerous man and thought, I can handle him. Her hubris is absolutely astounding, and it is the exact reason why I am so deeply invested in her character. She always thinks she can outsmart the devil, but this time, the devil might just collect his due in the most violent way imaginable. Carly Spencer, bless her sharp instincts, saw right through Sidwell's charming veneer and Ava's foolish overconfidence. Let us rewind to that explosive moment when Carly confronted Ava and laid all the cards on the table. Carly did not hold back. She looked Ava dead in the eye and told her that she was being completely blinded by the money. Carly knew that Ava was only seeing the dollar signs, the power, and the ultimate glorious payday, completely ignoring the massive red flags waving right in front of her face. And the most shocking part of Ava's confession to Nina is that she admitted Carly's brutal assessment was 100% accurate. Ava confessed that the money made her blind to the truth. Greed is a powerful, intoxicating narcotic, and Ava was hopelessly addicted to the thrill of the score, ignoring all the fatal consequences. Now, here is where the story gets incredibly anxious and terrifying for me. Ava is sitting there, sipping her drink, trying desperately to convince herself that the nightmare is finally over. She tells Nina, with this fragile, almost desperate sense of relief, that Sidwell is gone. She actually believes that he is halfway across the world, licking his wounds and leaving her in peace. Oh, Ava, you sweet, naive fool. I was practically tearing my hair out watching her cling to this false sense of security. Anyone who has watched General Hospital for as long as I have knows that villains like Jen Sidwell do not just pack their bags, book a one-way ticket to a tropical island, and start a new life collecting seashells. That is not how this world works, and it is certainly not how a man with Sidwell's dark, violent nature operates. Thank goodness for Nina Reeves in this episode, because she was the only one speaking any actual sense. Nina's reaction to Ava's foolish optimism is what really sent absolute chills down my spine. Nina did not buy this fairy tale ending for a single, solitary second. She looked at Ava, her eyes wide with genuine concern and a heavy dose of reality, and completely shattered Ava's illusion of safety. Nina knows a thing or two about desperate people making dangerous choices, and she delivered the cold, hard, terrifying truth. She warned Ava that a man like Sidwell does not just quietly disappear into the sunset when things go wrong. He is not the type to forgive, forget, and move on. Nina's warning is the ominous foreshadowing that guarantees this storyline is far from over. Let us deeply analyze Sidwell's current psychological state, because this is where my theories are really going into overdrive. Right now, Sidwell is a man who is completely desperate. He is cornered, he is out of options, and his back is firmly pressed against the wall. In my decades of analyzing the criminals and masterminds of Port Charles, I can confidently tell you that a cornered villain is the most unpredictable and lethal creature on the planet. When a dangerous man has nothing left to lose, he becomes a human wrecking ball. He no longer cares about the rules, he does not care about the police, and he certainly does not care about whoever gets caught in his crossfire. He only cares about survival and revenge, making him a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. I am absolutely convinced that Sidwell is going to come back to Port Charles, and when he does, it is going to be a bloodbath. He is going to want payback against the people who wronged him, and he is going to want a final, massive payday to fund his escape. And who is sitting right at the center of his twisted web? Ava Jerome. My mind is racing with all the horrifying possibilities of how he might strike. Will he ambush her in the dark, empty halls of the Jerome Gallery? Will he sneak onto the grounds of Windermere and hold her hostage in the middle of the night? The suspense is absolutely agonizing. I can already picture him lurking in the shadows, watching Ava's every move, waiting for the exact moment when she feels the most safe and secure to launch his devastating attack. What makes this impending disaster even more stressful is the potential collateral damage. If Sidwell comes back to Port Charles with a vengeance, Ava is not the only one in terrible danger. Think about the ripple effect this is going to have across the entire canvas of the show. If Ava's life is threatened, it immediately drags Avery into the line of fire. And if Avery is in danger, you better believe that Sonny Corinthos is going to unleash hell on earth. This entire situation is a catastrophic chain reaction waiting to happen, and Ava's initial greed is the spark that lit the fuse. Carly is going to be dragged right back into the mess, and Jason Morgan will inevitably have to clean up the blood. The stakes have literally never been higher, and I am on the absolute edge of my seat waiting for the explosion. This entire storyline is so incredibly crucial for the future of Ava Jerome's character. We have to look at the deeply ingrained, toxic pattern that she simply cannot seem to break. Let's take a long, hard look at the men who have walked into Ava's life over the years. We are talking about a woman who practically writes the manual on lethal romances. From the terrifying, blood-soaked days of Ryan Chamberlain to the dark, twisted, and manipulative saga with Nicholas Cassadine, Ava has a historical, almost magnetic attraction to men who carry more red flags than a bullfighter. It is a deeply flawed psychological puzzle, She is addicted to the thrill, the power, and the danger. But this time, her fatal attraction might just be the thing that finally puts her in the ground permanently. Admitting that Carly was right is certainly a massive, unprecedented first step for Ava. It shows a glimmer of self-awareness that we rarely get to see from her. But let me be entirely clear. A simple confession over cocktails is not going to save her life. The true ultimate test of Ava's character is rushing toward her at breakneck speed. When Sidwell inevitably steps back into her life, bringing all of his chaos and violence with him, how is she going to react? Will she fall back into her old, destructive habits, trying to negotiate with a terrorist? Or will she finally, for the first time in her life, realize that no amount of money or power is worth ending up in a body bag? If she continues to ignore the glaring warning signs, she is going to run completely out of second chances. I am praying she prepares for the war that is undoubtedly heading straight for her front door.